Clyde got it. So standing by, he's logging in. There's Mr. Clyde.
Good evening, Mr. Chair.
Mm-mm. Fancy old car. Can you hear us, Commissioner Vihil?
No, can you hear me?
Oh, we can't hear him.
One thing more. The last meeting.
Can you hear me now? How about now?
Yeah, I was one of them. Commissioner Casados, can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can.
I can't hear Commissioner Casados.
We never can.
I can hear you, Eric.
Mr. Hill, can you hear us?
Did he fall over?
Mr. Thomas? Are you able to hear us, sir?
Can you hear me, Commissioner Vihil? Can you hear me? Yes, I
Still
can.
can't hear Commissioner Casados. It looks like he's talking, but he's can't hear him.
Can you hear me, Mr. Wright? Can you hear me, Mr. Casados? Nod your head yes or no.
Same with Clyde.
Yeah. Although Clyde may be talking or moving his lips, he might not be talking. Look, he can hear me.
I can hear you, but you can't hear me. We can hear
Yeah.
you guys.
I can hear Commissioner Casados. I can hear all of you.
Yes. Commissioner Vihil, can you give me a call later?
Yes. What's your phone number?
505-929-1867.
Okay.
1867.
Yes.
Okay. Can anybody
Still
else
can't
hear
hear you.
right now? No? Okay. Commissioner Casados, since nobody can hear us,
He's just chatting away just in case we.
for the
we might
US,
catch
for the
him.
US, for the contract, there's no easement for
I think
dam
he's reciting
18.
the alphabet.
There's no easement for dam 18 and there's no, and it hasn't been acquired by the county, managers. So you guys need to look at that. We can talk more later.
Okay.
All right.
I was just touching bases with you on that, but we do have a right away with the Alcalde Association, but Mr. Romero says we have one with the county.
Yeah, yeah, I need to get more documents. I need to get grant of easement and I need to get everything, the perimeter of that number 18 and so forth. So there's nothing that defines that perimeter.
Okay, I'll let him know.
Okay. Otherwise, I would sign the contract, but I won't sign it because there's nothing that defines 18.
Okay,
So I can hear him on my computer.
we can hear you on the computer, but you can't hear us.
We're not getting them on the city system. I turn on my speaker so I can hear you guys on that, but we can't hear you here in the chambers.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
How about now? Can you hear me now?
Everybody heard you now, Clyde.
Good deal.
Just on my computer. Just on my machine, not on the system.
How about you, Mr. Wright?
I can hear you on air. But
It's gonna give you feedback. Sorry. Figuring-
Can you hear me now? If you could hear me now, nod your heads no. I'm sorry, you came in pretty muffled.
Still muffled.
You have maybe commissioners in here, I wonder if they can just utilize their time. You can drop it out. I mean, it's myself. As far as right.
Not sure that on the system doesn't have this. Attendance or not. Yes. Can you hear us now?
You guys are coming in a little funny.
Still can't hear them. It doesn't show their mic is muted on the screen.
Hear me? Can you hear me? Testing 1, 2, testing 1. Testing 1, 2, testing 1.
Everyone at home, can you hear us?
Say again, are you talking to us?
I can hear you fine, Clyde.
I hear you fine too. I'm not sure what's going on.
I don't either.
Keep talking. Maybe they'll think we're talking about them.
I
can
hope
hear you
so.
guys on my speaker, by the way.
Oh, never mind.
We are talking about they can't get their shit together.
It's trying to get it on the chamber system is the problem.
Now you guys are coming in muffled. Not a good situation.
It's not like you have a mask on.
Oh, maybe that's what it is.
Take your masks off, then let's see if you can hear us.
Just me. Yeah. Hey, Clyde, can you try calling in on the phone? Keep your video on, but if you can call in. Did you hear me, Clyde?
Yeah, I can hear you.
After Thanksgiving.
Oh, okay. We might have gotten it.
You sound good now.
Good evening. Excuse me, on the other side. Mr. Hill?
Sorry about that. Phone rang.
Mr. Casados?
Shoot.
No.
But it didn't. Yeah. See it myself.
So we're, she just unplugged the,
Do we have to start, restart the meeting maybe?
We might have to do that too.
I'll try it anyway.
It's wonderful when it works, but when it doesn't, it's everything miserable.
sounds like it's not a Zoom thing because I can hear them, it can hear me.
Right. No, it's the internal.
It's the system.
You're.
Hey, Eric,
Yeah.
do you think if I called in, you'd have voice anyway? You guys be able to hear me? What's the phone number?
Yeah, that's what they were suggesting is maybe call in. But let's try cycling this back up.
Okay.
And if that doesn't work,
In the meantime, what's the phone number to call in?
what number should they call into? Okay. Okay. That email that was sent, there's some telephone numbers that you can call in. That's
You know what that will still be an issue because it's still gonna, yeah, it's still gonna.
put on a speakerphone.
Clyde, can you give us a sound test?
Test 1, 2, test 1, 2. Can you hear me? Check, check, check. Check. Test 1, 2, test 1, 2, test. Test, test, test 1, test 1, 2, test, test. Test, test, test. Radio check. I have a message here that says Earl Wright is connected to audio. Earl Wright did not connect to audio. Earl, can you hear me?
You're coming in, clearly, but you're coming in low.
Okay.
Can you hear us, Frank? Can you please give us some response?
Could it be that you have 6 participants and only 3 on chat?
You can actually do that. And do it for you.
Okay, where are we?
Mhm.
You good?
Hear me?
Can
You
you
guys
hear
might
me?
have to speak a little bit louder when you do speak. So, thank you. All right. Go ahead and call this meeting of the planning and zoning commission to order.
That's better.
Step roll call, please.
Roll call for the minutes. Chair Max Martinez.
Present.
Anissa Martinez. Commissioner Rahim.
Did you say Commissioner Vehil?
Yes.
Yes, I'm here.
Commissioner Wright. Commissioner Quintana.
Here,
Commissioner Casares.
here.
And we don't have Commissioner Ahmad. So we have a quorum.
Thank you, Leonard Hussein. Commissioner, can you pledge allegiance, please? Thank you, Commissioner Wright. All right, we're on to the approval of the agenda. Any changes to staff? Are you on mute?
I think we can go as well.
Okay, commissioners, are there any changes to the agenda?
I'd like to, we did a public hearing on the 2021-18 variance request, to the top of the public hearings. They're not here. Well, in that case, I guess we're waiting for it.
Okay.
And then also, I want to do, so we apparently don't have a forum, for the administrative items on, for either July, September, or October.
Yeah,
I would like to approve the agenda as presented.
okay. I would like to, before we have this delay, I wanted to, consider the permission that we address, you know, tonight.
At 8.
What's that?
I said, how about 8?
Or sooner, we could, but 10 at the latest. The commission amenable to that.
Oh, yes.
If we need this special meeting for administrative reasons, I think we need to do that. That's something, getting to the earth.
Okay. So, we have a motion to approve the agenda, at 10 p.m. We have a second.
Second,
We have a second. Any discussion on the agenda? No discussion, roll call. Second.
Commissioner Wright.
In favor.
Commissioner Eric Martinez.
In favor.
Commissioner Anissa Martinez. Commissioner Quintana.
in favor.
Commissioner Casares.
In favor.
And Commissioner Wade.
In favor.
Thank you.
All right.
Unanimous.
Thank you, Mr. Hussein. Next item on the agenda is item number 5, public comments and visitors. Is there anybody here that wishes to address the commission or any items that are not on the agenda? We don't have any online. And thank you. Okay. Hearings. Still getting some feedback. So the following cases are subject to discrimination, and the hearing will be conducted under the provisions required by the municipal code of appeals. This includes the identification of parties, the swearing in of all those conditions for testimony, the opportunity of cross-examination to ask questions will be provided by the parties. It is 6:35. We will now open public hearing for item number 6-1, 2021-16. Variance request. Paul Tanya applicant request a variance to place a manufactured home at General Commercial District B2, property address as 207 Rosewood. So commissioners, is there anyone who has a conflict of interest or who has had ex parte communication related to this case? Okay. Seeing and hearing none, we will move on. So we'll go ahead and identify and swear in the parties on this case. Are the applicants here tonight? All right. So, and then staff, you guys can raise your right hand, we'll swear you in. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give will be true? Thank you, folks. All right. So what we will do tonight is try to limit presentations to 3 minutes each. So if you need more time, let me know, but we'll try to keep this meeting moving along so we can meet our time limit. So Mr. Hussein, would you like to go and give your presentation?
Thanks, Mr. Chair, and honorable member of the Planning Zoning Commission. This case is about the variance case. All planning and applicant request variance to place a mobile home in General District B2. And this property is a single lot in the taxable property with 0.39 acres. And it is smaller than actual, but it should qualify to be two. In 2006, there was a mobile home at this property. And at the previous event, we brought the property in 2011. And this mobile home was removed. And according to our code, that is stated in the official zoning district uses subsection K2, building structures accessory incidental, and 703 non-conforming uses because it was removed after 90 days and they did not apply for it. So this after 90 days, subsequent use of the land should conform to the regulation of the district in which land is located. So this land, because it is not grandfathered in and non-conforming use that is used before, is not permitted now because of the nature of the code. And they are requesting the variance from the commercial district so they can use this property as a residential, which it has historically been used residential. And it has an easement of 18 feet, which previously we tabled because there was an error saying that it's 13 feet. And when we contacted the fire department in our city, they suggested that the National Firefighter Association suggests 40 feet of easement access the property to the fire truck. But when we see there is a common yard, There's some other mobile homes or manufactured houses. And it was used as residential or for residential purposes for a long time. But because it was non-conforming use, and according to our code, section 3 of non-conforming use, it should be dealt in regulation of district use, and that is okay, according to our code. But I would be happy to answer any questions or anything that.
Thank you, Mr. Mohammed.
And you have your packet of information and the application, and it's very questions answered are also okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mohammed. Are there any questions and information for Mr. Mohammed? Commissioner.
Mr. Chairman, again, package of the spaces is a 13-foot estimate, but in reality, the plot is 18.
You just said
The
it.
commission at the past meeting, asked that the DRT review that, and also, whether or not if the structure was sprinkled, if that would be acceptable to the fire department.
So the fire department doesn't deal with the sprinklers because that's the access that's matter. Because they want the access. The other things are secondary. And it was reviewed by the fire department because fire department is the only one in ERP that has an issue, had an issue.
So fire didn't consider the sprinkler system.
Right.
Okay, one last question. If this were commercially developed, it would also be essentially undeveloped commercial property.
Yes.
Why would it have the same
But
consideration?
the use of this property is non-conforming use because.
So it was conforming use, it would still not be developed, correct?
Yes, but
That's all I have.
how it is being developed now and how their houses are, they're not conforming use and the easement is 80 feet, which is non-conforming.
Thank you, Mr. Hussein. Commissioner Villa, any questions?
And I just have one complaint that this is, the variance is actually placed in mobile home, not the use of this property. Just wanted to add that there is a use and the development variances has some difference.
Commissioner Villa, any questions for staff? Commissioner Villa, can you hear me? Do you have any questions?
I can hear you, Mr. Vice Chair, but everything's coming in like an echo. It's hard to hear anybody, understand anybody. So what first impressions I do have of this is there's going to be about maybe 300 feet from the road to the existing lot. The fire department, and again, stop me if I'm going a little crazy with this because I get the feeling I know what you guys are talking about. But the fire department is talking about a 13-foot wide easement that's not enough for a fire truck to access this property. Therefore, it's denied by the fire department because of that concern. But I know maybe that the fire department will probably not go past the building that's burning. There's one other building in the back there. It belongs to one Freddie Medina. It's an existing home. There's the existing concrete slab for another mobile home there on for Mr. Pana. As far as an emergency vehicle getting back in there and a fire truck, I can see a couple of other alternatives that they can exercise or utilize to get back in there in case that building is burning. Otherwise, if that building is going to be burning, they're not going to go past it. I mean, if the building behind it's going to be burning, they're not going to go past that. In other words, I think that that's the opening, I guess, salvo to my question for Mr. Mohammed. Actually, I don't have a question. Never mind. That's all.
Okay, commissioners, this is time for questions.
Very well.
Commissioner,
Thank you.
Commissioner Casados, do you have any questions for staff?
I kind of had the same question, the survey plat shows 18 feet. I think I heard Mr. Mohammed say that there was an error and it's only 13 feet.
Is it physically 13 feet with the front of 18?
Mr. Chair, could you hear me? You're coming in real muffled.
Yes, Commissioner, I can hear you.
I kind of echo what Mr. Vihil said. I kind of don't like the comment of the GRT just saying no approval. They really don't give a reason why, and seems like there's an error on the plat. But I kind of echo that what Mr. Vihil said, that I think fire can get in there if they need to.
Okay,
That's all I have.
thank you, Commissioners. I do have a question for you, Mr. Hussein. So roadways typically are 10 to 12 feet wide to begin with, a driving lane. So it seems to me that there is sufficient room here for a vehicle to actually be able to pass. Is the question for the fire department, the setup of the engine to be able to utilize it? Because it appears that there's sufficient room within the lot for them. That's not
To my understanding, as part of the conference conditions was that National Firefighter Association recommends 20 feet of easement for the truck access. And I understand that our driving lanes are 12 feet to accommodate, but this is for the fire truck, we doesn't restrict how fire truck is.
It's the setup of the apparatus, but once they is there sufficient room for that apparatus to be set up?
I agree, but if this is the one, this is the question for fire department, because that's, they said the access, and that's how they pull us.
Okay. Commissioner Ray, you had a follow-up?
Just for clarification, the thing that this is an application for a mobile home, the application clearly states it's the place of manufacturing. Which we talking about.
Our city code doesn't differentiate between mobile home and manufactured house.
Okay, well, we said that, but that hasn't been the precedent set by this commission. Previous consideration cases, but there actually is a difference. And it was a difference on the notification on the case, the last case that we tabled at the last meeting.
I would suggest to read through, I think it's 615, which says what it's 615, I believe, that says about manufactured houses, cities and mobile homes. Or 612, which says mobile homes, and when you say mobile homes, it says language is mixed, mobile homes, manufactured houses. And which restricts mobile homes or manufactured houses in B2.
Is there any questions by the applicant to start? Ms. Plano, is there any questions for staff?
No, I know that we went out and measured and it was 18 feet. And
You if you have questions for staff. Okay. And then maybe here, questions for staff? Seeing none? Okay, thank you, Mr. Senator. Ms. Conley, you're up. We're going to try to keep it to 3 minutes. I'll thank you once again.
Okay. The only thing that I wanted to add is they did go out and so the only thing that I wanted to add is that they actually went out and measured, and at the tightest area of the easement, it was 18 feet. There was other areas that were 20 and 22 feet. The 18 feet was probably less than 19 feet long, so it was a short distance. But other than that, it was over the 20 feet or over.
Does that conclude your presentation? Yeah, okay, thank you. I'm going to stay. We'll be asking you some questions here. Commissioner, do you have any questions? Yeah. Commissioner Santana?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Pana, you made the comment that the easement goes from 18 to 20 plus feet. And in the, but it's not consistently 20 feet across throughout the easement. Is that correct? Okay. And the area in which it's 19 feet, I believe you said 19 or 18 feet, is that in, would that be directly in front of the building? Whereabouts is that?
No, that's the very beginning of the easement. And probably, and I'm guessing about 300 feet to the back as to where our property is located. And that's at the very beginning of the easement. There's a retaining wall that is up, and that's what restricts the easement from being a little larger.
Okay. I think that's all I have for now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Wright?
Just a real quick question, Mr. Chair, and it's, in relation to the final survey that we have, which is the lot line adjustment, lot realignment. Survey requested by Francine Cerna and Adam Duran, dated October 31st, 2006. One thing I realized when we had our packing material was that easement, even on your own property, did you guys place the additional structure there? And this is just depending on how this works out. It appears that that structure is also sitting within that 18-foot easement. And again, just we'll see what the pleasure of the commission is. But it may be necessary to work with the neighbors to replat an easement, perhaps. It just depends on the will of the commission. But I also wanted to point that out, that it looks like that additional structure was placed in the easement as well. So it's not like a question.
I'm sorry, can you
Okay.
be a little clearer as to what structure you're talking about?
Yeah. Is this a shop?
It's on the screen there.
It's on the screen. So it would be. No, it's the big, it's the garage structure.
So that yellow road that goes there, that's the easement that goes back to all of these properties. The first residence, the second residence, the mobile home foundation, the double wide and the garage, they all have that same easement.
I understand that easement also crosses property and services.
That's correct. But there is more than 20 feet on that. The entrance is 20 feet.
I don't want, I just wanted to give you an FYI about that. Just again, depending on what the will of the commission is tonight. If there's a concern there on your own property, just make it clear that. Courtesy.
Thank you.
That's all I.
Thank you, Commissioner Wright.
Mr. Chair, I forgot to ask something.
Okay, 1 second. On that point, I think the survey does show a structure. I'm not sure if that's the one. But this way.
on the west side of the yellow
Yeah, this one.
line. Right.
But there's-
Correct, the garage is not on the plot. Correct.
That's in a different lot.
No, the lot of wood.
Yes.
Right, I know about lots.
But this is.
Understood.
Commissioner Quintana.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Pana, I'm sorry, I forgot to ask you something. In the measurements of the easement, who verified that for you? Okay, so the fire department did not validate that as well? Okay. Would the answer be no? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Vehil, do you have any questions for the applicant?
No, Mr. Vice Chair, I do not. Thank you.
Speak up a little bit more, Commissioner Vehil.
I said, no, Mr. Vice Chair, I do not. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Casados, any questions for the applicant?
Not at this time, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. All right, staff, do you have any questions for the applicant? Thank you, Mr. Mohammed. And any neighboring property owners still don't have any here that might have questions, so. All right, thank you, Ms. Pena. We'll keep proceeding here. Being that there's no neighboring property owners, there's still no neighboring property owners, anybody on Zoom, Madam Clerk? Thank you. All right, you can go ahead. Is there anybody here from the general public who wish to speak on this piece? All right, seeing and hearing none, we'll go ahead and close this session for public comment. And I'll make a few remarks on this case, and then I'll ask the commissioners what if they would want to entertain a motion on this one. But this is looking at the details of this law. This is very common to have a small residential lot within a commercial district. I don't see that this, because of the size, location, and situated between other residences, that it could be turned into a commercial use. So, you know, the fire safety concerns are noted, but those are, like Commissioner Wright mentioned, they're going to be there regardless. And if there's enough room within the lot itself to be able to provide a fire apparatus, then, you know, if the variance wasn't granted, then this would basically make this land unusable to the owners. So I would be in favor of this variance for that reason, because it follows the pre-existing use. And at some point, this commission is going to be looking at, you know, taking on a rezoning exercise where we have a lot of these lots within commercial districts that just don't suit it at the current time. So that's my 2 cents on that one. Commissioners, is there a motion on this case?
Here,
Commissioner Wright?
for the purpose of discussion, I will make a motion in the affirmative, to approve case number 2021-16 of variance request, to place a manufactured home, general commercial district B2, the property address is 207 Rosewood Lane.
Do you have a second?
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion from Commissioner Wright, seconded by Commissioner Vehil. Any discussion? Commissioner Wright?
I think you summarized it very well, Mr. Chair, but that's one of the things this situation exists all over the century-old town. I understand and respect the fire chief's desire to have these means of easements, and that's something we absolutely would do on new subdivisions and development. However, again, I agree with you, Mr. Chair, that essentially denial on this basis would render this property, which as per the record and testimony at the October meeting, already has city services established, would essentially sit vacant and be an unusable property. I don't think that's in the best interest of the city. It's certainly not in the best interest of the landowners, and I would support this motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Wright. And I echo what you said there. Any further discussion?
Mine is opposed.
I'm sorry.
Mine is in opposition.
Commissioner Behill, any further discussion?
No, Mr. Vice Chair, good with it.
And Commissioner Casados, any discussion?
No, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. All right, Mr. Hussain, can you call it roll, please?
Commissioner Wright,
In favor of the motion to approve the variance.
Commissioner McHugh,
Commissioner Behill,
In favor of the motion as stated.
Commissioner Quintana,
Against the motion? Not in favor.
Commissioner Casados,
In favor?
and Chair Martin.
in favor.
This motion was passed 4-5.
Thank you, folks.
Yeah, 4-1.
So just a closing statement, any party wishing to appeal the decision made here tonight must submit a written notice of appeal to the planning office within 15 calendar days. Planning and land use staff can provide us with. Thank you, Ms. Tanya, for your attendance today. For further action, go ahead and get with Mr. Hussain and help you from there. Thank you. All right, we'll go on to the next case, number 6/2/2021/17, variance request. Ismail Perez, applicant, request variance of setback for construction of accessory structures on his property west of 310 Camino del Sol. The property is zoned as general commercial district E-2. We have Mr. Perez here with us. This time, I'll ask any commissioners if they have a conflict of interest or had any expert communicate on this case. All right. So we'll go ahead and swear you in, Mr. Reyes. You can raise your hand and do you swear or affirm that the testimony you gave will be the truth? Thank you. All right, so staff, we present the case report.
Thank you so much, Chair Martin, and members of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Mr. Reyes, the applicant requests a variance for setbacks in general commercial district E2 for accessory structures. The address is 310 Camino del Sol. And this direct property consists of a single lot. This actually property should not have an address, should not have its zone B2 because it does not qualify for the minimum criteria set by the city, which is 12,500 square feet for B2. It should have been zone R6 because it is almost 8,600 feet. more or less. And it meets the criteria of minimum standard of R6, which is 7,500 square feet. Then you have the rest of this property. Actually, when you look at this structure, it sees the accessory structures are rectangular shaped. Instead, that this radius actually got the first accessory structure permit. It was square shaped because of 16 by 16. So I got a little nervous because then I made sure because they couldn't go at that. So I gave some of my dimensions of these structures were from online sketches from whatever we have. But when I went back and the next day measured it myself, they were a little smaller than, so he did not construct the first structure to 16 by 16, he instead constructed 10 by 16. That's why we're a little confused why they look like rectangular instead of square shape. And he got the permit in 2014 and he constructed it. Now, he mentioned that he is constructing another accessory structure. And which is about 17 by 16 feet that we measured, and then he has also a garage that is constructed. And according to our code, any building should be at least 10 feet from each other, which the garage and these accessory structures are 7 feet from each other. He's 3 feet off of our permit limits. And you have all the answers of this criteria, but I do want to mention that this is B2. And according to our code, all the accessory structures should have been constructed according to the need of the commercial district. But that his permit also shows that it is R6. I don't know how it happened and why it mentions R6. And supposedly it has always been B2, but it's been used as R6. That's because R6 is R6 allows 5 feet from their side at the side of the structure. So that's why it was building. And actually, people are worried that it has 5 feet from the rear of the structure. And according to our non-conforming use of the structure, the land combination that I mentioned the other is as well, that any structure that is moved or something ordered except otherwise provided in the article, he cannot change it, major changes in the structure because he should not have built this second structure because this is not permitted use in this zone district, according to what is written in the code. And he should have followed, if he would have followed the process that he followed before, he might have asked him to build otherwise. Because this property otherwise cannot have B2 standard setbacks, which asks us 50 feet from the rear of the property. The non-conforming use of the structure or structure in the land combinations discontinued for about 180 days. The premises should thereafter be used except in conformity and the period of the district is located. So I just want to mention that this district is general purpose district B2 instead of R6. That it has historically been used and allowed. And I can't speak on the behalf of what has happened historically. And I did check, I could not find any inspection that was done to certify the structure that was built in 2014. For accessory structure, which apparently was permitted 16 by 16, but it is constructed 10 by 16. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Bisnay. We'll go ahead and move on to questions from the commission. I'll go ahead and read off a couple. So you mentioned something on here that if you were to look at this as an R6 lot, and would this construction would conform to the R6 requirement? And you said that the distance between the two accessory structures is less than 10 feet.
Less than 10 feet, it should be at least 10 feet.
Should it be 10 feet? How about any other requirements as far as number of structures? total square area of lot area coverage.
Lot area coverage in terms of lot area coverage, he is okay. He is less than 50%, which is for B2, but he's less than 40% as well, which is in R6.
And these structures are non-residential, they're storage or garages or.
As we look at the garage or the storage, do not have any windows and do not have different structures, especially that's, I mean, look at the different storage in garage, but just apparently it looks like it's residential structure, but Mr. Reyes informed us that he is building a studio and he does not have any intentions of making it as a residential purpose.
A studio for storage or?
I can't tell the use that he just mentioned that it's just a studio. He did have the architects or he wanted to have his artwork or something.
Okay. I'll be asking the applicant that question also. But as far as setbacks, besides that one, all other setback requirements?
According to R6, but not how it is zoned.
Okay. Okay. This is another one of those cases where the current use doesn't match our zone.
That's correct.
Okay. Other commissioners, do you have any questions for staff?
You never know, Mr. Chair, we've done a lot of members, that was one question. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Rizzo or Casalos, do you have any questions for staff?
Not at this time, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Commissioner Rizzo?
No, Mr. Vice Chair, I do not. And then again, of course, I couldn't really understand what Mr. Hussein was saying. So I can ask many questions. Thank you.
Okay.
It's coming in very bad. It's very echoey and it's anybody
Yeah.
actually. Thank you.
Apologies about that. We're getting a little feedback from you as well. Okay, does the applicant have any questions for me?
Not at this point.
Thank you. Are there any neighbors or anyone here that wish to speak? Okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Mohammed. Mr. Reyes, to give your presentation. Again, if you can keep it to 3 minutes, we appreciate that.
Mr. Lee, that was said in September, I came in and stated that what I'm building is a studio workshop and some storage. I also did some presentation pictures on my lot as well. There's no electricity, there's no utilities on there. Maybe in the future we need one, I would have to get permits. I have no problem with that. There was an individual from the community went out there and did some surveying or some measurements. And the bottom line was that from the setback and the back rear, which is a concern to the city, is 5 feet plus. So at this point, I'm just here to see what's going to become of this case.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes. Does that conclude your presentation?
Yes.
Thank you. Hold tight there. I'll ask commissioners if they have any questions, but again, thank you for the needs of the structures. My only question is just why you did seek a permit before actually erecting the structures. It seems like you have done that prior, but in this case that didn't happen. And that's,
Oh, I did have the permit for the 10 by 16. And at that point in time, when the inspector was out there, if I'm not mistaken, was Mr. Joe Duran. And he went out there and he stated about my fence and he went out because there's things that I stated that I would like to do on the property. And at that point in time, he stated that I would have to stay 5+ feet away from the fence, property line, which is my property line. And also everything else, and I said, fine, that's no problem. So at that point in time, I assumed that I could go ahead and add to that 10 by 16 structure that's there now. The 10 by 16's been there for 5 years. The additional structure that the city's in concern, that's been there over 5 years. The garage structure's been there, again, for over 5 years. They're all 95, 98% complete. So at this point in time, I just don't understand why this is an issue now. I made a presentation, I also documented some pictures of my property, and I also rendered my survey. And to what I saw out there, from the back of the building beyond is over 5 feet. But that's not what the city understands. Again, I just cannot comprehend that these buildings been there for 5 years, and now it's an issue.
And the reason it is because was a code enforcement action that prompted this. So in reality, we're required to get a permit.
Well, yeah, that's fine, I'm okay with that, but
We're
why?
here to rectify that now, but before you move on, I'll go ahead and ask the rest of the commission if they have any questions. Commissioners? Commissioner Vega or Campbell, any questions? Commissioner Vega?
Mr. Vice Chair, are you talking to me?
Yes, do you have any questions?
I might, thank you, Mr. Vice Chair, for the floor. Yeah, it was me who went out there to measure the offset of the structure in the back, and I did find that it was a little bit over 5 feet offset from the south boundary. But after reading, I'm realizing exactly what's going on with this as far as the the background is concerned. He was given a permit to build a fence and he built the structure. It's like going to a hockey game and it turns into a boxing match. That doesn't sit well with me. Other than that, a question that can come out of this is, why did you do that?
You want to repeat that question so that we're understanding what your question is?
That's my question. Why did you build a structure instead of the permitted fence that you were awarded at the time? I can't hear you.
For a structure that he has built instead of what he has received.
Okay, so, yeah, there's something that's varying from your prior permit that wasn't actually built to what the prior permit allowed.
And what was that?
The fence.
The fence in the back?
The height of the fence, I guess.
The fence in the back. Well, I stood away from my property line with that fence on the back side. So my property line is beyond the fence, behind the fence line, going away from my property. And I couldn't construct that fence on my property line because there's a big tree there, and the roots down below didn't allow me to do that. Dig holes, put concrete posts in there for my fence, so I had to come in closer to the building.
Did that address your question? I don't know if you're able to hear that.
It was tough, but that, Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, that's all I have.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Casals, any questions?
Not at this time, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. All right, and being that there's no neighboring questions here, let's get that part. Zach, do you have any questions for the applicant?
You mentioned that the fence that Mr. Vila doing a lot fast with the height of the fence is higher than what it was permitted. And without different structure that you mentioned, and why the structure were built without permit. Just want to mention.
Okay. All right. Is there anybody in the general public here that wishes to speak on this case? And I presume online we're still nobody there. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, Mr. Reyes, thank you. This is down. We shall go ahead and close the public, the session for public comment on this case and entertain any motions from the commission. Again, before we do that, I'll just say that, again, this is another lot that doesn't match the current zoning. He built structures that are out of permit, and this variance request would, if approved, will bring them into compliance. Any motions from the commission on this?
Before we do a motion, can I ask you a question, Mr. Chair? I'm looking at a copy of a permit right here, and unless I've missed something, it does talk about both the fence and a 16 by 16 structure, and it's been approved.
Correct.
But did you not say that there wasn't a permit for the additional structure, or are we talking about the garage structure?
We're talking about the ones subject of this case, which is the garage structure.
13 by 25.
And the addition of the existing shed, which was permitted prior. So everything highlighted in yellow on the diagram on the screen.
So the,
one on the right hand, upper right.
right,
That's what was permitted.
okay, and that's the 16 by 16.
It's actually 16 by 10.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for that.
Okay, commissioners, any motion?
The actual variance for the structure, part of the structure, isn't needed because it was already permitted, because the previous structure was permitted. And I realize we combined this case, I think the issue of my compliance is the separation of the separate structure, right?
Correct. And the placement of the lease. That was the,
Well, actually, my understanding is the new structure, again, on the top end of the drive is over screen there, the public city. That's actually in compliance.
setbacks.
The setbacks, and there's actually, the only problem that has is not permitted. I understand.
According to the zone district, it is not permitted. It is not compliant. It is a non-conforming.
I get that, but the city had already granted a permit in 2014 for replacement of the 16 structure.
Yes, if one was station, that would be added to it, I believe.
Right, but essentially that, even though it wasn't done properly as a variance, essentially set the precedence for this property that was allowable setback for this property.
And that's why we have a process of development permit, that the permit should have been taken for any structure that we build that please follow, should have been followed for any additional structure that.
Okay, I understand that, so I'm curious what form of motion the commission is going to do, because we do have started with Mark was the 13 by 25 there, that actually doesn't go.
For setbacks.
For setbacks. Which again is not happening because if it were connected, it also would not be interfered. The fact that it's separated is the issue, right? And connected to the new structures, it would be compliant with lot coverage and the system previously had on this map. Am I understanding that correctly? Okay. Just to be clear, kind of what might be acceptable. I'm not sure how to do that.
Well, and I guess my advice here is because the application identifies the two structures and because there is no field without any prior permit and as a result, the setbacks would conform. So if the motion was, just general because it's applying to what is in the record that would be granting if we're recommending approval, we'd be granting a variance for the setback on those structures to do with less than proper setbacks, whether it's a B2 or an R6. That's the kind of the problem for me is that because, well, it's a variance to setbacks for an R6, but it's not an R6. B2, so you're basically, looking at a variance for its use within the B2. Considering that we're looking at it as more of an R6, which it was before. I know that doesn't help.
Well, again, that one structure is fine. It's the garage structure that actually requires variance. In my reading, and I have difficulty with that. Because it means essentially all of the variance criteria except for the fact the lots are actually normal size. Everything in the neighborhood has that. It's really this arbitrary inter-building setback that they are not kind of concerned with is the multiple cases for permitting of like carports, makes the trailers, which that's been totally ignored. And so after again, as zoning broken throughout most of the city, this is another consideration. Another commission that previously reduced setbacks in several zoning districts because of that issue. But unfortunately, I don't think it's in the zoning that I look at. And again, I think to be a code of compliance, essentially is connected to buildings. That's what's crazy.
I'd like to ask Commissioner Wright a question. Commissioner Wright, am I understanding you correctly that if the garage and the studio were attached, or would it be attached to the primary home? Where is the attachment that would no longer be an issue then?
Either one, if it were attached to the home or to the other structure.
Okay, so if the garage and the studio were attached, this would not be an issue.
As far as
That's
adjacent building
my
setbacks.
reading of the code.
Okay, Muhammad, how would you interpret that?
The garage is not a residential structure. It is an accessory structure.
Mhm.
I believe that it's not considered as structure that could be connected to the garage.
So the studio could not be connected to the garage.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, but essentially, it's one single accessory structure. But like he absolutely needs to then for the setback for the rest. For this, what he doesn't need is between two accessory structures. That makes sense?
It does. I was just wondering if there was a workaround. I do know from an insurance standpoint, a homeowner's insurance standpoint for underwriting, if you have a detached garage and you have your residential property, but you happen to have a roof line connecting the two, where you might have a courtyard, a patio, things like that, and you have a loss in, i.e. the garage, the dwelling limit for coverage would extend to the garage because it's considered attached. As odd as that sounds, that roof, just the mere fact that they're touching each other, creates it as attached. So that's where I was coming from with that. Could Mr. Reyes actually do a roof line? Doesn't have to create more square footage, but a roof line touching the two buildings, and would that satisfy that? Assuming he's willing to do that. Am I interpreting what you're saying correctly, Commissioner?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Again, from an assessment purpose, square footage is determined by heated space, typically by most county assessors. So it's the same kind of thing. If these structures were heated, which I think one of them will be, one of them won't be, but if they were attached, it's all one considered. As you're saying, that's an interesting point about the insurance underwriting.
Well, that's a, I'm not sure that it's a what if. Maybe.
I'm just trying to figure out what we're denying or approving.
So the patient needs to allow the applicant to build to be already built. So it's basically making it a legal non-conforming. So that's what we would be approving, that what he's presenting here today, we would consider that a variance and be a legal non-conforming. That's how I, you know, it would have been great if he had that 10-foot separation to at least be in compliance with an R6. Since that was a model that was used to permit his prior structure. And because an R6 kind of actually fits that area. So our variance would be to approve his current setup that is and make it a legal non-conforming. Does that make sense? Now, the next time he decides that, you know, Mr. Reyes may want to add additional structures to this, now he knows better that he needs to come to the city to get a permit. And if he wants to further build on this lot, he will likely, if it's not rezoned at some point in time, he'll likely have to come back for another variance to be able to do that, because it's still going to be
Is this variance is granted? Sorry, that's true. If this variance is granted, God allows it to do.
we're allowing the variance for what he's applying for. That's how I'm seeing it.
Variance essentially exist in perpetuity. If they're granted, the commission needs to understand that. They do that. And that's kind of my point, is the city is already allowed what's there on the top end of our screen, which is actually the south side of the property.
So maybe the answer to your question, is that okay? The motion would be that the variance is only for what is proposed here and nothing else.
Yeah, they should do that.
I don't see why not.
Variances are in perpetuity. And again, we got back and forth with the staff with it up here. Whether or not you put in the addition, because that's what you can add to the addition variance. Either granted or not.
Okay, so then the variance would be to allow it to be conformed in R6 with the exception of the adjacent structure setback.
good. Not a motion.
So moved.
If that, this mayor has a motion, I will second it.
Mhm.
First and second.
Okay.
And then it's for-
I will,
Yeah, the affirmative.
I will go ahead and do that as a motion and accept Commissioner Wright's second. Further discussion. Commissioners Pascal, Silvio? Any discussion on this motion?
I guess the only question I have, I think is kind of overbuilt. In my opinion, too many buildings for the lot size of the area. So I kind of, I don't know.
Actually, Commissioner Casados, I had asked Mr. Hussein about lot coverage requirements, and he did affirm that the current existing buildings are meet lot coverage requirements.
Mr. Chair.
Correct?
So, yeah, according to our code, that it is 40%, but when your principal structure is smaller, and essentially, but that when you exceed.
Okay, so the accessory structure size exceeds 50%.
50% of the minimum.
So that's the second part of the variances.
So,
Is that
that's
correct?
security based on the area that we're seeing. That's not 50, that's not exceeding 50% line.
No, lot coverage of the medium.
Of the main structure.
Right, but where's that in the code? I've seen that in other codes and don't believe that exists. in this code.
It does.
That's probably smaller.
If it
Just for instance, on a review today, that's around the one that
I think it's 50%.
wasn't a lot of question. Something.
Yeah, and I think that, I think we got the other job than the other one. But anyway. But yeah, there's citation code about accessory structure not exceeding 50%.
All 04.
0.04. Accessory structure.
Thank you for that.
So the work around that is to make the house bigger and.
Going to be a lot of guys upset with their toy garages.
Well, that's what kind of discussion. This is the recurring meeting this commission has to deal with. Our zoning code is not good, it doesn't fit our city. And that's the thing, we have an area. City doesn't almost landlocked. So there's really nowhere for the city to grow. If that's through density or going further, it's also density. And I think this commission or future commissions and the city council looking at this, that's one of the things that needs to be considered is what is reasonable, given that most of the city predates planning and land use regulations. We have centuries-old communities that are parts of the city of Espanola. And this is the problem we have with the driveways not being narrow, and with structures all over the place. I'm very concerned of what was cited in the code, that if the cities were to enforce what's actually written about being able to prepare your residents and happens to be in a commercial zone, that's not allowed under the city code right now. That's an untenable situation that the city's put us also. Again, it's not us, it's the predecessor, it's the code that we're dealing with, it's essentially the code that doesn't fit our community. So I hope it's something we're able to look at. That's when we're talking about restore a 100-year-old building because it's in a commercial district, that's not in the best interest of the city of Espanola or its citizens. All I have to do.
All right, any further discussion? All right, so the motion and the second is to consider a variance. Is for a variance to consider this lot as an R6, a variance for adjacent accessory structure setbacks. And now, with Mr. Hussain's review is that it would also apply to the 50% restriction for accessory structures to be not greater than 50% of the main dwelling.
Just to go forward, this is for B2.
Right.
When it comes to R6, the code clearly says in R3, R6, R4, R6 is blended development district. Attached garage or carport and not more than 2 additional accessory buildings per dwelling unit are permitted.
Oh, the 50% only applies to B2, right?
That's correct.
All right.
Twelve.
Go forward is B and then F, B and F.
So, Mohammed, repeat what you had just mentioned
Yeah, so I mentioned.
for an R6.
We are R6, that is 1206 is the three structures and the average. Number of accessory building structures in R3, R4, R6 and plan unit development district. And the attached garage or carport and not more than 2 additional structures per dwelling unit.
So he essentially has two.
Yeah, but it's, and then it says, this is one unit for family use. And that's different.
Could we approve the use with no other allowable accessory structures? That would be a good addition to the variance. How about that, Commissioner Wright? It's truly a work for them until we can rezone.
Yeah. That's covered. We're making gravel.
Yep. So on 1204, you know, there's a couple of things about accessory structures in the R6, not to exceed the total lot coverage of all structures as provided in table 1, 2, and 3 of this chapter, which is,
That's 50%, right?
no, 50% was for B2, not for R6. There's a provision for not less than 5 feet from the side of the rear and not less than 25 feet from the front. And that's on 12.
And that's more than 25%.
No,
No, that's in there. That's in there.
not more than 25% on the rear.
That's the D. In residential districts,
Yeah.
that will apply. B2.
Not more than 2 additional. And then if it's considered, Mhm. I don't think so. No.
What's the square footage of the house?
Um,
Mr. Reyes, what's the square footage of the house? 680 is the house? What are the dimensions of the house?
Okay, so if,
Couldn't tell you, I couldn't take a guess, I mean, 15 by 16, something, I don't know.
the variance considered allowed on R6. It required occupancy of coverage requirements, which Mohammed, you confirmed that with the existing structure, for an R6, he does not exceed the 40%.
Lot coverage, because the coverage. House for. The accessory structure area.
Okay, but that's in the, I'm talking R6. This R6. Yeah. And then it cannot be less than 5 feet from the side of the lot line, which is not, or less than 25 feet in the front, which appears it does not look that way. And then this goes further to say, like how you said, Mohammed, that a detached garage is a carport, and not more than 2 additional accessory structures per dwelling unit are permitted. So it looks like he meets those. The only thing he doesn't meet is the adjacent structure setback.
Yes, the structure setback and possibly the area, 50%. I can calculate that.
No, I'm not talking about 50% because we're considering this in R6. That doesn't apply. Because that's a B2 requirement.
R6 is 40%.
But he doesn't have it.
Where's 40%? That's lot coverage, right?
Yeah.
No, what Mohammed's talking about is the percentage of accessory structure to the main home.
Oh.
So I think my original motion applies, in other words. Oh. Okay. Sorry, Mr. Rios, I'm sorry, folks, we're trying to get it right here. I think we have the motion will apply. The motion is to allow variance, lot, considering, considering the requirements of the lot as an R6 with the, variance that the adjacent lot structures, do not meet, and would be a variance to that. Sorry, yes, long-winded and complicated. Madam Clerk, do you have your original statement? We approve the variance considering the lot is an R6 with a variance of the adjacent structure setback requirements. We have a second. We are ready to vote. Mr. Hussein, take the roll, please.
Mr. Chair,
Clarification on 2117 Bridges request, the roll call. Chair Eric Martinez,
In favor.
Commissioner Mayhew,
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Casales.
can you hear me, Mr. Chair?
We can give you now, we're calling the question, taking the roll on the motion.
I cannot, I did not hear the motion. Can you repeat the motion?
It is to approve a variance considering the requirements of R6 with the exception of the adjacent structure, adjacent accessory structure setback, which would be a variance from 10 feet to 7 feet, I believe. I keep changing it every time. It's up to you. Yeah. You get that, Commissioner Casales? In other words, the variance is to allow the lot to be considered R6 with the variance to the adjacent structure setback.
Okay,
Okay.
on the roll call.
Yes.
Commissioner Mayhew,
In favor of the motion?
Commissioner Wright,
In favor.
Commissioner Gonzalez,
In favor.
Commissioner Casales,
in favor.
and motion passed.
Thank you, Mr. Hussein. Thank you, commissioners. Thank you, Mr. Reyes. Your case has passed. We'll close the public hearing on this case at this time. Any party wishing to appeal the decision made here tonight must submit a written notice to appeal to the planning office within 15 calendar days. Planning and land use staff can provide assistance with this. Thank you, Mr. Reyes. Your variance has been approved. All right, we're on to case number 16. Variance 2021-18, variance request. Ariana Vela, applicant requests variance of setbacks from urban residential plan development R6-PUD to place a manufactured house at 1845 Del Rancho. Is the applicant here tonight?
Mr. Chair, I don't believe so. Fairly extensive, public testimony, public hearings, in our October meeting. And I believe the reason why the commission didn't act on it is it was advertised. And that was the only reason we didn't act on it, so I think it's appropriate for the commission, if it chooses to act on it this evening, even without the applicant present.
Thank you, Commissioner Ray. Mr. Mohammed, since the applicant is not here, have you had any communication with her?
I did not have any communication with them, but previously that they came here, they were given a letter that their places will be subject to approval by the planning commission.
Okay. Well, if you're comfortable to present and if you have your permission act on this, without the applicant here, we can move forward.
Yes, we do have it.
Okay. You're already sworn in, are there any commissioners who have the conflict of interest or has had expertise communication related to this case? No, seeing none and hearing none. Mr. Hussain?
Excuse me, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Quintana, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I don't have a conflict of interest, but from what I remember, and Mr. Hussain, you might know this, the applicant had indicated that if we didn't make a decision last month, she was going to lose her option to purchase the property. Do we know if she still has that option to purchase the property?
That's why they were given a letter that they are permitted with respect to the planning commission's approval.
And is that letter pertaining to this one that we have here? You did or did not? Okay, so I don't have a way other than obviously believing you, which I do, that there is a letter that has extended that option for them.
Yes. And they all told me around 2 weeks after they can pick up early because they're allowed to tell us that they're allowed to place the mobile home there. But I told them that we need to give you a permit after the planning commission approves it. That would be the official permit required. You can show your community or subdivision that letter that says that there was an error that happened because how the code is written, or does not allow mobile homes in our planning development, and it has to be something like it. We have to do a different approach to take something instead of reserve for setbacks. Different, that's what I have on the screen as well.
Okay, thank you.
In other words, any action by this commission tonight won't be for naught. It will be valid. Go ahead, Mr. Hussain.
Thanks so much, member of the commission and Mr. Martinez, chair of the planning commission. So this case was presented last month, and it was tabled. And this applicant is requesting setback to place a manufactured house at 1848 Highland Rancho. The property is zoned urban residential land unit development R6 PUD. This parcel is about 0.15 acres, measuring about 8377 feet deep and 85 to 70 feet wide. And how the actually looks like, according to the setbacks that we have in planning unit development that are different, but what subdivision that has been submitted to our city, that document actually states that the front building setbacks should be 20 feet, the rear building setbacks should be 10 feet, and 10 feet should be on the sides, which in this law, because the smaller side does not meet. On the sides, it has 10 feet and 8 feet. That's why they're asking for the variance to place that manufactured house with 8 feet side setback. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Hussain. Are there any questions from the commission for Mr. Hussain? Since you mentioned it a while ago, Mr. Hussain, I'll go ahead and ask a question. So you said that R6 CUDs do not allow for manufactured housing. But this particular PUD was approved by the city to allow for manufactured housing? I know that's not the question on this case. I think it was maybe discussed at the prior meeting, but is
So
that an issue?
again, this has been precedent set by the our planning department and planning commission. That there are no manufactured houses there in that subdivision.
It was approved on a blanket basis, or is it an approval that was done on a case by case?
And that was done on case by case. But the setbacks are the only thing that defer us from this, because the subdivision allows this. City has a lot historically because we have a subdivision letter on this application as well. I mean, that's the management. That's actually the governing body of the subdivision. And the city has allowed it, so
How has the city allowed it, by variance or by approval of the PUD in its original?
to administrative approval, and even if they don't, they sometimes they didn't even get approval. They just they place administrative approval. That's planning commission approval. Unless they want to go for setbacks.
On the prior lots that have manufactured housing,
Yes.
they received city administrative approval.
That is the assumption that the manufactured houses are allowed there.
So if our code does not allow it, what was the governing factor for the city to administratively approve it?
That I can't not tell because the restrictions only are about landscaping and the drainage that we see the restriction here on their survey that we can see. So there is an assumption that there is no restriction on either it should be site built or it could be manufactured.
I thought there was, I think there was an allowance for setbacks to be changed on the PUD.
Yes, is planning and development that actually don't even care about the setbacks, according to our code.
Yeah, there's a statement in there that they could vary from, they could be site specific, development specific. Any other questions from commissioners? Okay.
I'm sorry, I think I do.
Commissioner Quintana?
Mr. Hussein, in our packet dated after no, I beg your pardon. This is along with it. I rescind my question. Thank you.
Commissioner Casalos, any questions for staff?
Not at this time.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Vihel?
No, Mr. Chair, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Since the applicant's not here, we can ask if they have any questions for you. Are there any other neighboring property owners here that want to speak on this case or ask questions to staff? Thank you, Mr. Hussein. Since the applicant's not present or neighboring property owners aren't here, anybody from the general public want to speak on this case? All right, we will close the session for public comment at this time. And entertain any motion from the commission.
Mr. Chair, I would like to approve case number 2021-18, a variance request. And Adela request variance of setbacks from urban to residential plan unit development, R6 PUD, to place a manufactured house at 1848 Tag, the Rancho.
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Motion, do we have a second?
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Casalos. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, hearing none, call the roll, Mr. Hussein.
Roll call for the case 2021 18, variance request. Here, Martinez. Commissioner Romero.
In favor.
Commissioner Wright.
In favor of the motion.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
In favor.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
In favor of the motion.
That motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, Mr. Hussein. All right, thank you, commissioners. Any party wishing to appeal the decision made here tonight must use the planning office within 15 calendar days. Planning and them can provide assistance with this. Thank you, Mr. Hussein. I'm sure you'll notify the applicant of the decision here tonight. All right, now we have new business, item number 7. This is also a public hearing for case number 2021-19 variance request. Although ward is requesting a variance to build a second residential structure at 914 Northern Main, DC 1046 1210 753 500. The property is on R-1 rural residential district. Commissioners, is there anyone who has a conflict of interest on this case or who have had ex parte communications related to this case? All right, seeing none, hearing none. We'll go ahead and identify who's sworn to partners on this case. Is the applicant here tonight?
Yes.
Okay. Are you the only one that's going to speak tonight?
Yes.
If you can raise your hand, are you here for this case as well? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony here will be the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, we'll go ahead and listen to staff presentations on this report. Mohammed?
Thank you so much, Commissioner Chair, and member of the Board of Commission. This is various request from Mr. War is requesting various to build a second residential structure at 940 Broker Lane. This property is zoned R1 rural residential. That property consists of 1.24 acres lot and has a manufactured house of 16 by 80. And actually, the reading that you're seeing there, we got it from online measurement, which has an error, and we fixed it because we had
Okay. There's a error in the staff report is what you're citing. Okay.
And this house this has very different dimensions and how the lot is. So it doesn't have any shape, it's a polygon. And according to the web report of the city of Espanola, the septic system is allowed. In dwelling unit, it is 3/4 of an acre, which clearly this lot is more than 3/4 of an acre. This is 1.24 property. And Mr. Wall wants to build a small business of 24 to 30 area. So at this point, how we see this, the total area of the house is 1,152 square feet. And when the casino ends building, it would be about 750 square feet, 5% off what the dwelling unit is. Our one lot, because of the side of the residential R1 district, it allows the second dwelling unit, provided that they have the city sewer and water, city utilities. But this property is a unique, they do not have any sewer lines around. Our city code says if they're around 300 feet, they have to be connected to our city sewer. If there is no city sewer infrastructure close to this house, they cannot have a city sewer. And they have a septic system. But they do have city water. And the development review is in front of you as a copy that says that the recommendation of the law that should have city water, which they have. And they have approval from the environment department for the septic system for this assessing casino. That's the presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Hussein. So again, so this case, like we were talking about the last case, is in R1 and the 50% accessory structure from the environmental plan, correct?
That's right.
So the variance would be because the mobile home is only 16 by 80, this casita is 25 by 30, it exceeds that 50%.
That's right.
Okay. Is it planned that this casita is gonna be, for one individual, one bedroom, do you have any?
I believe it's gonna be one bedroom, but we don't have a site plan yet, we just have the dimensions for it.
Okay.
I believe looking at the dimensions, it could be only single bedroom, I believe. Maybe potentially two bedroom, depends on the site plan.
Okay. I think there's yes, floor plan in the packet that shows there's one bedroom. Okay. You said the total lot area was how large again?
The lot,
1.24
1 acre, which is even beyond 1 acre.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Hussein. Any other questions? From the commission? Commissioner Wright?
Apologies if you're trying to I did have one question that's already been answered. With that, I agree. There's a lot of slope on this lot and the rail running through it. I realize it's total acreage, what's the buildable acreage? Roughly.
So the property was at least an acre.
And again, this doesn't have city water, sewers on
It has
all.
to be one, but it does not have city sewer because of infrastructure.
So it's a subject
Yes,
system. Does the city have minimum lot size requirements for subject?
yes. 3/4 of an acre.
3/4 of an acre
Yes.
per dwelling unit.
So if you have 3/4 of an acre lot, you can have septic system.
Right, this septic system is going to be a second septic system on this one?
That I don't know, I think yes.
But I can wait for the applicant.
Yeah, because they have a corporate permit for this, another septic from the water department that I'm providing a copy.
Right, we can't read the requirements and actually it's expired.
Say that one more time.
This permit is actually expired.
Yes, because that's why I mentioned to you earlier that the development for some reasons. That's why that's why they keep here, but as there's no law changes, we need to get this review.
Okay, I'll send you over to the applicant.
Thank you, Commissioner Wright. I do have a follow-up question. Now that you mentioned Aurora, has it been verified if the proposed area is within a floodplain?
it is not in floodplain. But I can double check again, because Arroyo this is at a higher level. And Arroyo is not at a point where it can be exactly.
We'll have to be sure on the floodplain maps, because we cannot permit structures within the floodplain.
Yes.
So that may be a condition that we have to consider. Yeah. The commission, I'd like to approve this. And another question on the size of the septic system, does it have capacity? Or another, is that something that was verified by the city if it has capacity for a second structure?
So they do have capacity for second structure depending on where they want to put the septic system. Because there's there's land is needed. This already been at the house and the city does, so they cannot as well, but I'm not sure what's their site plan is for the structure.
Replacement. Okay, I'll pass that to the applicant as well. Thank you. Any other questions from the commission? Any questions from the applicant to city staff? Do you have any questions on his presentation that you'd like to ask?
There are questions. I got,
We'll let you present here in one moment, but if you have any questions, now is the time.
no.
Okay, thank you. Any other property owners that have questions for staff? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Hussain. Mr. Ward, your turn, please. You can take your presentation in a minute.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, my name is Odolo Mar. And I do have a survey certified that shows a flood zone. And you can see it right here. And it's not a flood zone. The bottom of the arroyo is about 15 feet deeper than the site that I'm going to be building on. And also it'll be like, well, I don't know, 25, 30 feet away. And also on the septic system part, the permit did expire because of the COVID and the problems that I had with the city getting this one. But I already spoke to them and they told me if it's approved, I can go back and they'll renew the permit. Everything is complies with all the environmental statements. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Are there any questions from the commission to Mr. Ward? You can stay there. Questions?
It is regarding the subject. Was the environmental department were the fire department aware that the water is
Mr. Kim says it was showing right there on the permit, and he also mentions it.
yeah, the board members.
They calculate the usage of the first septic, how much water will be disposed of, and then they also figure on the septic, on the second one, which is a permit for, which that permit is for the second one. And I still have a little bit more that I could use.
For clarification,
I'm smaller with wastewater than what they are. You know, they figure it, so everything will work out.
for clarification, you'll have two septic systems, one for this new structure and you have one already for the existing mobile home?
Yes, sir.
And so the American Park was where this is the separate system on the one acre lot that you have.
Yes, sir, I have, I don't know if you have it, I have the whole permit that states that it's, they recognize there.
When I have the letter of the court with chart on top, it's like, I can't read the conditions.
Can't read it.
Oh, I have a copy of, all the paperwork, and you can see it there if you wish.
One thing is, this is regulations in the fire firm, so we can be conditional approval that the septic system is actually approved. By the environmental department, and that's a description which you are, I don't want to call it large, but the fact that there's loaded septic systems there, drainage from the highway, and properties down the lead that may be on wells. The concern, I think, we were here to impact the neighbors.
There's no wells closer than like 1,000 feet.
Right, and that's something we absolutely burn the department.
Yeah, well, they are checked into it.
Couple hundred feet separated from the wells.
Whatever it is, but yeah, they'll regulate that.
And not everybody, we have a city work. Everybody has city work.
Okay. Okay. That's the only question I was here. Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions for Mr. Ward?
I believe I do.
Commissioner Tejeda?
Thank you. But first, let me ask Mr. Chair something real quick, and I apologize, Mr. Chair, I might just be getting tired. But was there conversation about one of the issues here is that the casita would exceed the square footage of the mobile home that is currently on the lot?
It doesn't exceed it, but it exceeds 50% of it.
It exceeds 50% of the mobile home in square footage. Okay, and then this is where I probably missed something, is in our, the case read by Mr. Hussein, is we have a manufactured home of 22 by 72, but on this sketch, it's 16 by 80, which is accurate.
He made that clarification.
Yeah, and I missed it.
16 by 80.
Okay, so the actual square footage is 1280, half of that would be 640. There's a difference of 110 square feet on the casita. Would you consider constructing your casita at 640 square feet?
Well, the reason that is because the LPP requires, for example, a bedroom to be 10 by 12 minimum, which is 120 square feet. Everything is by the building ordinance, like the bathroom, everything has to have a certain size. And also, the mobile home is not the permanent home. You know, that by next year, it'll probably be removed, so we can build a house. The mobile home that's there now is temporary. It'll be down the line, it'll be moved.
When do you think you'll be doing that?
Well, if everything goes well, they probably won't start building till February. But I would get all the permits for this one, the plans.
But you are motivated to build your casita now?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other questions for Mr. Ward? And I don't believe we have any neighboring or any questions from staff for Mr. Will? Thank you, Mr. Hussein. I don't believe we have any neighboring property owners or public that wants to ask questions or speak to this, so we'll go ahead and move on. I did have a question for you, Mr. Hussein. So the plat that he had with him didn't look like it was in the packet, but you've seen that. Just to look at, any floodplain issues potentially, or drainage easements that may exist. Okay. Okay, thank you. All right, we'll carry this on, and close the public comment period at this time. And we'll entertain any motions from the commission. Again, we tweet that any motion to approve also include a condition that the floodplain is verified for placement of the structure.
Could you repeat that, please?
That I'd recommend that a condition be placed that that verification of the floodplain be performed for placement of the structure.
I'm just registering.
I'm a little tired too. It's been a long week.
I'm not my usual ray of sunshine.
Anybody want to give this one a go?
Mr. Chair, I would like to get a motion to approve, and my first motion, case number 2021-19, the variance request, from the rule of order, is requesting variance, a variance to build a second residential structure at 914 Reverend within the Allen Commercial District, with two conditions of approval. One, to verify that the structure is not within the floodplain and at least that act of a entity. If there is a floodplain use permit, that is a larger royal coming from the hills going into the highway. And also that approval is contingent on approval of the environment department. And construction of a second septic system on the property.
Thank you, Commissioner. Right, we have a motion on the floor. We have a second.
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Casalos. Commissioner Casalos.
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Commissioner.
Very super brief. One, to appreciate that this is a site note specific, and the intention of the applicant to actually use this and then put back to the site note on the other lot. I applaud that. That concept and that investment in the community and in your property. And again, I realize this is a variance and it's not allowed. This is completely different. Because of, again, because our code just isn't as good as it could be. As I mentioned earlier, the city has nowhere to grow, we're landlocked, so we need to use the available land we have, and we need to use it wisely. So again, keeping it out of the floodplain, protecting the downstream property owners, and also making sure the septic system complies with environment carbon regulations, I think is essential. But I am going to take this motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Ray. I think it's well. I just want to make sure with the applicant, are you good with those conditions, Mr. Ward?
I would like to show you, the permit where it says that it's for the second one. And also the map that shows the water.
What we can do is we can ask, Mr. Hussein to go ahead and take that permit and then get it for the record. For the next meeting. And if you want to pass it around to the commissioner, you could do that. Yeah. All right, any further discussion with the commission? Madam Clerk, can you call the roll? In favor.
Commissioner Clavio,
In favor?
Commissioner Casados, Commissioner Quintana,
In favor.
In favor?
Commissioner Wright,
In favor of the motion.
Commissioner Casados,
In favor?
There we go. There is. Yeah. There's more information than. All right, thank you, commissioners. Mr. Ward, your. So any party wishing to fulfill the decision made here tonight must submit written notice of appeal. Planning this within 15 order days. All right, folks, thank you, Mr. Ward. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. All of you.
All right, we'll continue on to item number 8 on the agenda, old business. We have item number 1, which is approval of final decision, but as Mr. Commissioner noted, there may be quorum issues with that. Commissioner Redd, you want to speak to that?
Yeah. I was looking at the cause, but attendance, I don't believe Bill was in attendance at that meeting for the long.
Well, I'll have to ask him. I thought he was gone in September. I thought V. Hill was absent in September, but you might ask. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm just commenting that I was thinking we'd have to ask Commissioner V. Hill if he was there in July.
Thank you, Commissioner Quintana. I do not believe I was there in July.
Mr. Chair, I
I'm gonna
wasn't
put,
present at that
Madam
meeting
Clerk on
either.
the spot here. For these kind of matters, is a quorum of the attendees at the meeting required to vote on items that were attended from a particular set of commissioners at a meeting? Or
no, it just has to be a quorum of, as long as we're not passing an ordinance or resolution, it's not quorum of the entire governing body, which is the quorum of. Half of what passes the motion.
But
This is what you're not.
Or the judicial, yeah.
the problem is we only have 3 commissioners that were present.
At the meeting, action was taken. But there's a quorum for tonight, so the question is, can this body, regardless of whether. Right,
Okay, so, yes, they should, you should be able to pass, this evening if you have a quorum and, the majority votes in favor. So, yes, to answer your question, it would.
and that's what I was kind of, was, especially like for the minutes, does a member really have to be present at that meeting where the minutes were taken to be able to approve the minutes? That sort of thing. And the same thing with the findings.
I think if you don't do that, this kind of stuff will just carry over and carry over and carry over and
Right.
it's clean. If there's any valid questions or concerns, then yes, you can table it at time. Yes.
And it's happened before, and that's why we have a long list of things. Okay, right. Looks like you want to say something.
I think I'm okay with the minutes, the findings are actually the findings are record. And that was really, and it was rather council that the minutes were actually included with the findings were essentially the opposite. In my previous record, the findings are actually findings of fact and the finding final decision. I mean, I'm okay with it, but the problem I have with the ones that we have from July is we're going to have to construct those. I don't know if anyone's looked at their packet, but they are essentially, we can fill in the blanks. So they're not in the format that's actually ready. I'd be comfortable, I think, doing the minutes.
That's a different issue. But
I think the ones that we have, September, I think, are actually not we go.
My understanding is, as a commission, as a governing body, your all responsibility to go through the minutes. And in this case, and I'm not going to say I don't know how things will. I think it's your responsibility to go through minutes, read what's and familiarize yourself with that so that you can make decision based on what was previously discussed. As I said, you probably know more than I think that this can carry on, for months because you only need parts and there's, your holidays. We don't have to go on with
Thank you. Appreciate that. So let's go ahead and move on to approval of those cases of the findings. If there's all of them, Commissioner Eric, if you want to table it, all of them, because there's a lot of fill in the blanks, all of them.
As anybody fills in the blanks, we're going to have to sit there and do that.
Yeah. Then we should table that and allow us to go ahead and go back and.
And in all honesty, Mr. Chair, I was going to do that today, but I think that something that. We did, well, no. Staff wasn't here, so they don't know either. You're spot on, it's the responsibility at this point to, I mean, basically finding your in the minutes. But the minutes are not, we're gonna have to sit here and wordsmith them. Somebody's gonna have to type them up while we sit there.
Kind of funny, right?
The minutes themselves, I think are ready to go. The findings, unfortunately, the final decisions for July, which is one of the very things that 5 months ago, are all in that shape. Some of them are pretty simple. I think we can do it. If the commission wants to take a time.
So the findings of September.
I'm just looking for.
Very good. Yeah.
So. With a couple of
Okay. We want a motion to go ahead and table the decision to allow staff to fill in the blanks and bring those back to us at the next meeting. Madam Clerk?
We need to pass the minutes first in order for.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
And we were ready to approve, actually, we waited, that was part of our problem, we went through that. But we didn't have a quorum to approve the July.
Yeah.
And actually, there's, and the final decisions there, there's.
I think we address that conundrum now in the future, so. Okay. So do we have
A motion on the minutes,
on
or the table of final decisions?
table the July 8th final decisions? Those are the ones in question, right?
Yeah, those are the ones that we got. This whole thing that all highlighted the facts.
Yes.
What did we actually say? Again, no, nothing else after that, that's this transition, and we had to, we need to get them. It's not a petty case, I don't think you was able to take certain, I mean, it's simple enough to do this meeting, we would need to get together here formally. But we need to record it. It needs to be done completely remotely.
Is there a time of the essence?
Not really, other than the conditions that were put on. There were time conditions that are actually can we do in December on the case. Nobody wants to be next there. Unless we're even 30 years. Well,
We'll notice a Thanksgiving dinner at Earl's house.
Yeah, I'd be happy to have. My wife was there. So again, I don't know if we need to table these to a date certain or.
I would just say the next scheduled meeting, and if we happen to schedule one.
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion to table the July 8th, 2021 final decisions to the next planning commission meeting.
There's a motion. Do we have a second?
A second.
Second, Commissioner Quintana. No discussion on tabling, so roll call, please, Mr. Hussein.
Roll call for the table, July 8th meeting, final decisions. The next meeting will call for Chair Martinez.
In favor.
Commissioner Martinez.
In favor.
All right.
In favor of the motion, Chair.
Commissioner Martinez. Oh, Commissioner.
In favor?
Commissioner Gonzalez. Commissioner Salvatierra here.
In favor?
Thank you. This motion to start.
Thank you, Commissioners. Thank you, Mr. Hussein. Item number 8, number 2, September 2021 meeting approval of final decisions. Commissioners, we have a couple edits on those.
However, the first page, President, I don't believe, Mayor Martinez or even for selling facts that were present at the July meeting.
Are you on the final decision or on
I'm on the minutes.
Oh, no, we're on September final decisions.
Oh. Uh,
We just tabled the July final decision.
I tabled the decisions, not the minutes.
Right. But we have 2 sets of decisions on the agenda.
Oh, we're not the minutes, sorry.
Yeah.
Right, it's here.
We got the final decisions for case 2021-11, which is for me, yes. Request variance for setbacks for construction of accessory structure on a property currently addressed as 678 Cubero Court. I believe that's the one that mentioned, Commissioner Ryder, that you had. This one and the next one that you had some requested changes to.
Minutes for me, I already have the packet. I'm a little confused by the number 1. If the variance was not for placement of a mobile home, the setbacks were not. The setbacks were
Yeah, this is an accessory structure. And that's actually specified in the now therefore statement right above.
right. So the finding of fact, number 1 is not correct. I think it should say to allow placement of an accessory structure. Exactly what the now therefore said.
Exactly.
So with that amendment, I think those findings are good to go, Mr. Chair.
I'm sorry, no.
Commissioner Quintana.
Paragraph 7. Let me just read to what I'm presuming is the error. The Planning and Land Use Department recommended to deny the variance during the public hearing, stating that evidence in the record supported that the proposal does not review criteria.
Does not meet.
That's supposed to be meet instead of he. That's my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you. Good catch. Any other changes, commissioners? All right. Do we have a motion to approve with? One second here. Okay. Do we have a motion to approve final decision 2021-11?
There's our motion.
I will. We have a second.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, for the amendment, Mr. Hussein. Call the roll.
Commissioner Gonzalez,
In favor?
Commissioner Magana,
In favor.
Commissioner Wright,
In favor.
Commissioner Rea,
In favor?
Chair Ray,
In favor.
motion is carried.
All right, we'll move on to the second case, case 2021-13. Let me get back to my screen here. And that one is a special use permit for Mike and requesting renewal of an existing special use permit for rock establishments. Radio station antenna. Do we have any changes?
I do have a question.
Commissioner Quintana?
Let's see. Is hereby approved with conditions. Where are the conditions? I couldn't find them.
All right, that was lined out on those, as well. There,
Okay,
although it is,
Right in the middle. Now therefore, this request for a special use permit in the city of Espanola, New Mexico is hereby approved with conditions. And there's no reference to the conditions.
I don't believe we had any conditions on that one, did we?
This amendment did not have any conditions.
Okay, then we need to, I guess, remove that language, don't we?
that's actually not correct, it's gonna be permanent, which has a great conditions.
Oh, you're right, on the time.
Yes, that's from 5 years.
Yeah.
There's a time law.
So as with the condition and it's in the minutes, with the condition of special use permit taken by Friday, October 1st, 2021. And remain valid until Wednesday, September 30th, 2026. And I thought there was a condition we had to apply.
Yes, the fact that the department and the complying with it, and it's the rule that the committee of that is the federal communication you need.
Yeah, so item number 1 on the findings
Which means this.
is approved, subject to its renewal license from FCC. Special use permit will take effect on Friday, October 1st, 2021, and remain valid until Wednesday, September 30th, 2026. With subject to approval of the radio license from FCC. I think we need to delete that. Subject to approval. So just delete the word with subject to approval.
Yeah.
I would just ask that staff review the record on that one to provide all conditions.
There were two conditions that first it has to be, and then it is for 5 years.
Right.
That was the condition.
For the dates that.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's in there.
Yeah.
So it's number 1. Are you concerned there might be others?
Um, yeah, it included a statement barring any relevant changes to the zoning and development code, the applicant will need to apply for a new special permit. The September 2026 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. And the special use permits are not transferable. That was that condition. You get that?
I mean, feel pretty good with that.
Well, that was actually in the, that was not our recommendation. What we did was just include the dates. And get specific.
What were the dates again?
2026 is Friday to Wednesday. Wednesday, October 31st, I believe.
Well,
This is October 1st.
right.
As it's drafted.
Yes, because the last. October 1st through September 30th.
Right. So the special use permit was taken effect on Friday, October 1st, 2021, and remain valid until Wednesday, September 30, 2026.
Okay, we got.
Did I say Wednesday? Barring any relevant changes to the zoning and development code, the applicant will need to apply for the new special use permit September 2026. Special use permits are not transferable. And it's actually.
That part's
Except for those dates.
So you wish to add those?
Yeah, because those words we did.
Okay.
So that does the motion.
Okay. So we have a motion to approve with these additions. I did find another grammatical thing. The first one is the word on number 1. Number 5, at the end, it says did not substantially meet the review criteria for a special use permit. But right above it says that it met the definition. And we did approve it, so the word not should be stricken. Number 5.
I'm meeting.
So I move for approval as amended.
Second.
A second. Any discussion? Seeing none. Roll call.
Commissioner Martinez,
Me?
Commissioner Martinez,
You come to chair.
Say again?
Commissioner Ryan,
In favor.
Commissioner Patterson,
In favor.
Commissioner Thomas,
In favor,
All right. Moving along, item number 9, approval of the minutes. We have 3 of them, July 8th, September 9th, and October 14th. We have, starting with July 8th, we have a motion to approve or any requested amendments.
Mr. Chair, I do not have the minutes in my packet.
Commissioner Casalos, did you say something?
I do not have the minutes in my packet.
They were, they're in the electronic packet. I didn't find them in mine either.
Yeah, I'm trying to get to them.
Any of the minutes.
Those minutes were-
Electronically, yes, and that's where I got them. I had a chance to review them online, so I don't know if anybody else.
The previous meeting, October meeting, because that's the only, I've been here because, I only did it more than trying to, is, or, no, that's the ridiculous. And the second already, trying to.
I had a chance to look at them, so I'm not sure if anybody else did, or do we wanna table? But you know, I'll have a chance to look at them if you haven't done so.
Motion to table, Mr. Chair.
All of the minutes?
All of the minutes.
Okay, we have a motion to table item number 9. Do we have a second?
Second. I tried to pull them up. I can't get them.
I have them up right now. They all look great, Madam Clerk, so.
Well, then let's just go with that. We trust you, Mr. Chair, so.
That's my opinion. We have a motion to table in a second. Roll call, Mr. Singh? Commissioner Quintana. No. Take it to the next meeting. That's fine.
Commissioner Wayne,
In favor?
Commissioner Wright, Commissioner Gonzalez,
In favor?
Commissioner Sada,
In favor?
I should have shocked everybody and said not in favor.
Motion passes 4-1. I was ready to vote on them. Let's just go with it. All right. Next item is item number 10, matters from staff.
we don't have any important matters, but just what I mentioned, enforcement, we are trying our best to improve our point of work, and because the thing that I have just my experience being more effective for enforcement, but with one enforcement officer, we are doing whatever the best we can, but in the future we will plan something very different that we may address even with the short staff.
Mr. Hussein, would the city allow volunteers to help that part of your department?
People not volunteers, but they don't have a legal authority because code enforcement is legal authority. Those volunteers do not have a legal authority, but complaints often different issues. That's volunteer their response. They can inform us of some certain core violations, but they cannot enforce it.
Certainly, but with the workload the way it is, I was just wondering if there's some volunteer positions to help the code enforcement officer while the officer is out there enforcing the code. I mean, can they do some paperwork? Can they take complaints over the phone? Is there anything they can do that wouldn't require a legal precedence?
So I think I'm going to be the way this. Either key members of the community or people who are community, and some it is very difficult for them to clean the yard or take care of all those things. So we have to do that, or we can take care of our street to clean those that way. Maybe not.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, thank you, Mr. Singh. We still have matters in the commission on the agenda, so we need to add that back.
Yeah, because it was already added. So yeah, I'll put that quick.
Depends on what happened.
It's not on my packet.
It's not on mine.
You didn't see it on the electronic?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, let's do it then. Do we have any matters in the commission?
I only have one thing, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner?
Is are you welcome when you did it?
No. I got it.
And, sorry, I gotta pull over work.
Just because I said 10 o'clock to me.
That's right. That's right.
You see why we want this morning? Because if you're out, this is gonna be the longest lunar eclipse since the 40s, and there won't be another one until 2669. So if you're an insomniac, it ought to be possible for a full partial display of blood pressure.
And that's it too?
That's it. 2:02 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, and that's all I had.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other commissioners?
Well, we could just dig up some old business and stay here and then walk outside.
We can work on
Killing
findings.
me. I'm not gonna call on anybody.
Oh, come on.
Commissioner Casados?
No comment. It's, I think what they should do is work on the, video, on the speech. Very hard to hear.
Yeah, there's some technical difficulties, so I'm sure Madam Clerk will follow up on that. I noticed when I watched the YouTube from last week, there was a lot of folks I couldn't hear you. So
moving away primarily from Zoom, so these cameras up at the top are and working out the buttons.
well, thank you for working on it. I know it's a process. Thank you, Commissioner Casados. Commissioner, you got anything?
I think you're calling my name. The only person I can really hear is Commissioner Quintana, which I must say is not, a bad thing. It's a very good thing because she's got a very, very beautiful voice. But everything else is just very, very, like Commissioner Casado said, echoey and so forth. I know it's technical difficulty and all that good stuff. But I think it's prompting me to have to go in to the chambers in person. And I don't know if you guys want that, but it's going to happen. So that's all I got. Thank you, staff. You're doing a very good job. Commissioners doing a very good job. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Vigil.
We would love to have you back.
Yeah, you're welcome to join us.
Careful what you ask for.
Did he say I had a beautiful voice?
You did. On the record.
Ah, there we go. There we
You couldn't
go.
tell, could you?
Yeah, let's have a roll call.
Now you gotta sing to us.
Oh, God, no, you don't want that. That is where it does not transfer.
I'm sorry, I couldn't quite understand what you guys were saying,
Commissioner
but did I
Quintana, do
hear
you
you
have
say
anything for
that
us?
Commissioner Quintana's gonna sing to us?
What did you just say?
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, we had a special request, but she's not going for it.
Yeah? Come on.
No, no, no. I don't want to damage your, your perception.
Smart.
That said, Commissioner Quintana, the floor is yours. Do you have any?
No, no, I do not.
All right, well, I do have a couple things and then we'll go ahead and adjourn. Let's see. First, I want to apologize for not being here at the October meeting. I had a conflict with a work event. And so I'm going to thank Vice Chair Martinez for winning the last meeting. But I don't want to thank you all because you tabled everything and waited for me to be at this meeting to do everything again.
But last time we had 6 cases. We only had 3 this time.
Yeah. So. Oh, okay. Just so you know, I have a similar conflict for December, so I mean.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So I
Okay,
have
we'll
another-
see you in January.
I have another presentation to make at a board. So we could change the week. You don't have to do that on account of me. But, anyway, thanks again, everybody, for your work, and thanks for keeping things on a good clip tonight. Appreciate it. And have a good evening.
You too. Thank you.
Motion to adjourn by acclamation.
Motion to adjourn.
Need 72 hours notice.
So let's all ask Mohammed so we can work on a date. Yeah, I can work on a date.
Yeah, I realize it's a holiday. We'll see. We'll see. Any of that, I would be more than happy to do that. Just absolutely.
So let's work on something. We'll do that. And before I forget to, so you all probably saw the mayor's message about the cannabis regulation act. We've met several times, the subcommittee that he put together, and things have been going well. Of course, Mohammed's been a part of that as well as the attorneys that are assisting that, making good progress. I would say that a lot of the stuff that we have been talking about here has been considered down there that. So then a lot of good discussion just from the legal standpoint.
Well, thank you for sharing that, because I was interested to know if, well, maybe I had an expectation that you would be our voice too. And I was very pleased to see that the mayor had incorporated you, which I think is appropriate, being the chair, as a representative of the commission. So I congratulate you, and in addition to everything else you have to do.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Well, that's all I have. So
And happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Thanks for all your hard work, everyone.
Thank you.
Same to you.
Motion to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Night. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, folks. Meeting's adjourned. 9:15.